What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Niche Science, where we discuss comics, movies, games, and more. My name is Ronnie, and today I want to talk about my top 10 biggest questions I have about Marvel Spider-Man 2. Before we get started, I want to give credit where credit is due. The original idea for this video was inspired by my good friend Comic Blast Keenan. After you're done watching this video, go ahead and check out his video talking about the top 10 questions he has going into Marvel Spider-Man 2. I'll leave an annotation link at the end of this video and in the description box below, which you can also find the links to my social media as well. Simply look up @NewsAssange on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch for more content there. Like, subscribe, and click on the bell notification to stay up to date, and without further ado, let's get into it. My first question is kind of obvious, but when exactly is the release date of Marvel Spider-Man 2? We already know that this game is set to launch in 2023, and we're only literally about 3.5 months away from 2023 at the time of me recording this video. I'm aiming for a mid to late summer release, possibly early September the latest, similarly to the first game when it launched on September 7th, 2018, although I wouldn't mind a winter release. My second question is, what other villains could we possibly be seeing besides Venom and Kraven? In my previous Marvel Spider-Man 2 theory videos, I've talked about the possibility of seeing old and new villains. It's possible we can see some of Spider-Man's classic rogue galleries like Rhino. But what about some newcomers for this universe's version of Spider-Man? How about we get an appearance from the Beetle, aka Janice Lincoln, or even Morbius? All I'm saying is I don't want to do another rodeo with the same villains from the first game. My next question is, what costume possibilities will we have in Marvel Spider-Man 2? The first game gave us a boatload of Spider-Man costumes. Now, thanks to the modding community, if you manage to download Marvel Spider-Man Remastered for PC, you can download more costumes, except they only replace existing ones in the games, which are arguably better than the in-game ones. Specifically, are we going to have variations of the black suit in Marvel Spider-Man 2? Because we all know there's so many. Same goes for the other versions of suits that were left out in the first game. Question number 4, will we have day and night weather cycles in the game? Believe it or not, having that feature really improves the quality of your game. It's a minor critique, but I felt like the time was frozen throughout the whole game as you progressed. I just had an idea. So I was thinking the game can display the time of day based off of the real time in the real world. I'm not sure if I phrased it correctly. Let's say it's 5 p.m. in the real world. The game itself will match the day setting based off of your PlayStation 5's clock. So where I am, it's Florida, and right now the sun starts to set around 6 or 7 p.m. I think that would be kind of neat. We'd probably end up seeing different gameplay videos from several people uploading videos of them doing missions in the game, and depending on when they recorded it, it will display that time of day in their gameplay. It kind of gives you a perspective. Maybe some missions look good during the day or night. It's just an idea. Number 5, what origin will the symbiote have in the story? Personally, I will always have a preference for the alien version of the story. The fact that it started in the original Secret Wars comics from the 80s and continued in the Amazing Spider-Man run will always be the best version. But in this universe, there's no Secret War, and Insomnia Games can't really do that storyline. So I'm thinking they're going to be going with the developed in the lab version, similar to the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, unless it's a specimen that was discovered and then taken to a lab to run experiments on. This gives Insomnia Games an opportunity to get really creative, and I have no doubt they will. Number 6, will Venom be playable? Venom is a very special character, and to have him be playable, even if it's for a limited time to get his side of the story, will be satisfying. Although, I would imagine Venom to be completely evil, and the game having to force us to commit violent acts, such as killing people, would inflict some sort of horror in us as the players. Plus, we'd feel very powerful since Venom is like a tank and a force to be reckoned with. Number 7, what sort of role does Miles Morales play, and how will the story affect him? Marvel Spider-Man 2 is very much a Peter Parker story with strong supporting characters, including the other Spider-Man, Miles Morales. Will Miles feature heavily in the game? I firmly believe Miles Morales can't always be around where Peter Parker is, as he's Spider-Manning all over New York. In fact, I would argue that Miles Morales' constant presence in every single part of Peter Parker's superhero life would sort of taint the game a bit. It's just not realistic for Miles Morales, or vice versa, for Peter Parker to be constantly there for you. By this point, Miles Morales has flown solo and is more than capable of handling his own. So I was just wondering, how will the story or the villains affect Miles Morales? At least to what capacity will it affect Miles Morales, where the story really needs him to be around? The 7th question allows me to segue into my 8th question, which is, will you be able to switch between Peter Parker and Miles Morales at free will? This is a question that's constantly brought up. So many people have had several theories about this one, including people insisting that there's going to be co-op, when in fact it's been confirmed from Insomniac Games and PlayStation on their blog that this will be a single player game and it won't have a co-op feature. If Marvel Spider-Man 2 is a Peter Parker story, then I don't want Miles Morales to be a constant presence in the game. I mean, I want him in the game, but not to the point where he's a distraction. Also, if we're going to be able to switch between the two, I think it should be limited to the point where the story requires you to switch between the two. Then maybe post-game you can switch freely. I've mentioned that several times in past videos of mine where the story only requires you to switch between Miles Morales. Then I would see it being appropriate in the game. That's just my theory about that. My next question is, what's Peter Parker's and Harry Osborn's first interaction going to be like? Will Harry Osborn seemingly appear out of nowhere looking healthy without telling Peter the truth about his whereabouts? Will Peter ask Harry about his health? Will Harry Osborn end up becoming Venom? These are the burning questions I have about Harry Osborn. I guess you can count those as questions 9 through 12. I'm thinking Harry Osborn is going to play it as him pretending he just landed back in New York, and maybe Harry might ask Peter to meet him somewhere to catch up. I also believe the symbiote will be latched onto Harry the entire time to keep Harry healthy enough to be walking around interacting with other people. Then once Peter and Harry meet up, it'll create some sort of negative reaction where the symbiote starts to lose control of itself and inevitably turn Harry into a monster. I'm very curious to see that interaction play out. My final question is, in the conclusion of Marvel Spider-Man 2, will there be a cutscene of Norman Osborn taking a serum for himself, inevitably turning him into the Green Goblin at the very end? In the first Marvel Spider-Man game, there were hints and Easter eggs of Green Goblin littered all over Norman Osborn's apartment, specifically in one of the rooms right next to the hidden lab. And in that lab, there were small bombs on a table with the Oscorp label on them. For the longest time, I've been wanting to see this universe's version of the Green Goblin, but it's a good thing we haven't seen it yet, because arguably I think the Green Goblin is Spider-Man's greatest foe, and I think it's best for the Green Goblin to be saved for the third game. And with that being said, those are my top 10 questions I have for Marvel Spider-Man 2. If you have a question you want to ask, post it down in the comment section below so we can get a conversation going. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I also want to thank Comic Blast Keenan once again for allowing me to use his video as inspiration to make my own version of the video that he made as well. Thank you so much, Keenan, once again. If you're watching, I appreciate you. You're awesome. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on the bell notification so you all don't miss anything. And I will see you all in the next comic panel.
Yet all I found is disappointment. Will one of you finally give me what I desire? Yes, we will.
PlayStation